Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Adventures in Book Hunting. This one is a little bit different than anything I've ever done before, but it is about books, uh, and some interesting books I found this last week. Um, but instead of just like a general hunt for interesting stuff for the Hatter Bookshop or for myself or for others, this was a specific request put in by a friend of mine. Uh, Actually, I think just a week ago. I'm pretty sure it was either last Sunday or the Sunday before. In any event, I was speaking with a friend at church, and he said that he was interested in finding some old, or well, they're all old, but some popular mechanics resource books. Popular mechanics back, I believe, in the late 60s. Did an encyclopedia of home improvement, uh, technical project, craft project, kind of encyclopedia. And after initially publishing that, I don't know how many editions it went through, but obviously at least one. They did yearbooks that supplemented it, and that was a very common pattern for encyclopedias of any type back in the day. You'd have a set edition. Every so often, that edition would be updated, but because it's static, that is, it's not malleable, changeable. Every year, or every so often, the publishers of the encyclopedia would publish a yearbook, and it would supplement the material from the original source. Um, and for popular mechanics, the content for those yearbooks were culled from the best articles for that sort of thing, for do-it-yourself sorts of things, published in Popular Mechanics for that year. And without further ado, well, I was successful. And late in the week, I was doing a little book hunting in between real work and came across these at an antique mall. As you can see, 7 books from yearbooks from 1976 to 1982. And because that's heavy and unwieldy, I'm just going to, as a showcase, basically to show you the 1982 yearbook. All of them have useful charts, plumbing and carpentry, and in the back, metric to standard conversion. And then inside, as you can see, projects. Projects, how-tos, how to turn your attic into a family room. Effects of gasohol on an internal combustion engine, which was cutting edge in 1982. But in any event, yeah, these books. When I saw these, I immediately texted my friend. He got back to me very quickly. I said, "Is this the kind of thing you're looking for? If so," initially I thought I could only get 6 of them. Um, Later realized there was another one hiding on the shelf in the antique mall. But they weren't priced, so talked to the manager who got a hold of the owner of that particular booth. Got a price, got that to my friend. My friend countered. Long and short, we worked out a deal. And I remember when he asked me to try and find these things out in the wild. Of course, he could get them on eBay, but it was just one of those things. If I can get him a better deal, as I say, book hunting out in the wild, go ahead and try and get it. And my cursory research, the deal we got was better than eBay. Uh, and it was also had the advantage of immediacy. We got the books, and I'm going to get them to him today. Um, but something he said when he asked me if I could find this sort of thing, or if I found it, to let him know, um, was that he made a statement. The internet has killed books like this. And in a very real sense. It has. Um, put that down. Modern era. Uh, no one prints encyclopedias anymore. I don't even think Britannica does it. Nobody. Well, there's probably companies that still publish cheap dictionaries, but your great big academic dictionaries probably only go to libraries, if anything at all, and have much lower print runs and sales than they normally would. Because for something like that, something like an encyclopedia, dictionary, how-to kind of stuff, uh, cookbooks, cookbooks. If when you find cookbooks in the wild, even, uh, they're usually not books about technique. Actual cookbooks. They're what I call recipe books. They're someone's collection of formulas for meals. Um, and I certainly get why books like this aren't published as much in book form as they used to be. Books are expensive to produce, and doing it digitally online is obviously much cheaper, and it has the advantage of being readily updatable. We've all used Wikipedia. And I remember the first time I realized it got updated in real time. I was looking up a particular location for a specific event that had just happened within a couple of hours, and lo and behold, the Wikipedia article was already updated. You can't do that with a paper encyclopedia. Uh, like I said, the yearbook was an attempt to do that. Now, obviously, I was thrilled that I could get these for my friend um, at a price that he was comfortable with. Um, but it did. It got me thinking. What has the internet taken away from us? What has the e-book taken away from us? And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-ebook. I'm not anti-internet. Use it every day of my life, and I've got quite a few ebooks that I've accumulated over the years. But there are issues, and there are reasons to still have physical books. Um, Even though they do have disadvantages. In an ebook, you can search a term in the book, and it'll show you every term in that book. So if you wanted to know about converting your attic space into a living room, you just type in attic, zip, you'd be there. Uh, um, you know, just as an example for that particular volume. Um, but there is a downside. Um, One, it's hard to access the internet if you don't have electricity. So if you're living off the grid, or you're of a mind to think that someday um, things might not be as nice as they are now, it might be nice to have the physical books. Um, and the physical books are unchanging, um, which is a disadvantage. They're harder to update, but they also can't be changed or edited. Um, and this to my mind is more of a problem with literature than nonfiction, and it's the reason in this shelf right here I've got Agatha Christie, Ian Fleming, Dorothy Sayers, and a couple of Americans that we'll ignore. And over here on the far end, Roald Dahl. The reason I have those folks all together is their publishers, a few short years ago, typically around 2020 or beyond, decided that the original words of these authors weren't suitable for modern audiences. And so, in new editions of those printed books, the words are changed. They have edited the original author's language. And in the case of those authors up on the shelf, those authors are all deceased. So you are arbitrarily changing their work without their permission, without their input. And that rankles me. I would almost rather that a book be unpublished, published no longer, like this. If I ran the zoo, the Seuss estate decided that this book was problematic, had images and language that were not suitable for anyone in polite society, so they just quit publishing it. And that's fine. It's their book. It's their choice to make. They own it. They own the rights to it. But And of course, the rights holders for all these books, they can do with it what they will. But I think it's absolutely immoral to change the author's words. If you want to have a new edition where you have a foreword where you talk about how this author's problematic, why you currently disagree with some of their content, fine, fine. But you don't change the author's words. And really, I don't think it serves the purpose that they think it's serving, because if I read, you know, Agatha back here, if I read Murder on the Nile, and there are some problematic racial terms, I know that that's what that author was about 100 years ago. I know that those were the words she chose, and it tells me something about her and the time she was in. If you take those things out or edit them to more suitable terms for a modern audience, then you're hiding what that author was. You're hiding truth. I would rather know what the author was like, what he or she was about, she in the case of Agatha Christie, than to get this sanitized version so someone's feelings won't get hurt. Uh, my rant, my rant for the day, I suppose. But the book has served us well for 2,000 years, and getting around to how that's affected you by ebooks, for instance. Let's bring it full circle, and I'll try and explain what I mean about the problem with that. Um, if you buy an ebook, Amazon's probably the worst offender of this, but I don't know. It could easily happen to any ebook. Any ebook that you don't have downloaded permanently, that you haven't saved, and like basically as a snapshot in time, can be edited. So, for instance, you buy an Agatha Christie back in 2017 as an ebook, but you don't have it downloaded, and therefore you have to have an internet connection to access that book on your digital library. The the publisher of that work or the vendor who sold you that work can come in and do those edits that I was talking about. Like on Murder on the Nile, there were some racial terms that were changed. They can go in and do it, and they don't have to get your permission. They just do it. Uh, the one that brought this to my attention was um, a person was talking about a book they'd gotten that had been adapted as a movie, and Kendall had changed the cover from the original cover art to a movie tie-in cover. Okay, and that got their gears and my gears turning to think, if they can come in and they can change the cover, they can change absolutely anything about the book. So when you buy this book, are you buying the author's original work, or are you buying an edited version that some sensitive soul in a back office someplace has decided that you need to see? Um, and also, particularly with Kindle, there have been some rare occasions with Amazon and Kindle. There have been some rare occasions where they will take a book off your digital shelf where you bought a book and they will just remove it. Typically, it's because of some sort of copyright issue that they've had, but they'll take away your book. Now, I think I've joked about this before. Um, if somebody wants to change these books, they've got to break into my house and steal them. And 1984 style, white out the offending language and put in something new. A lot more difficult than just a couple of clicks of a mouse. Um, and as I said, no one, well, for these kinds of books, no one's breaking into your house to steal your books. Your books get stolen, and you allow it to happen voluntarily when you loan them to your friends, and then you never see them again. And I am both a victim and an offender of that. But, well, except for maybe if I ran the zoo, I don't know that there's anything up there really worth stealing or running the risk for stealing. And even if I ran the zoo, it's only worth $350. But, but in any event, that's why books are important. That's why it's important to still have physical books. Um, if somebody can take away something from you, or they can change it without your permission, then you don't really own it. And this is at the front of my mind even more so now because Amazon's changing their policy. Used to be that there were a couple of simple hacks you could do to actually download a book you bought on Kindle to a device, like say the laptop I'm using now to film, and you would have it forever. You'd have that e-file, that EPUB file, or that formatted file forever. No one could take it away from you. And very shortly, in fact, it may have already happened. Amazon has discontinued that. There are mechanisms in place that will prevent you from doing that. And if that's the case, you don't own it. And they need to tell you that when you buy it, that basically you're buying a license for a book. You're not buying the book. Now, once again, I'm not against the idea of ebooks. Ebooks are great for a lot of reasons. If you have a Kindle or another ebook device, you literally can carry a library in your hands as you go out into the world, and gives you access to many more books than you would normally have. It doesn't take up an entire room of space like this. You can have it, in the palm of your hand. Um, but that is the downside. Downside is you don't really own it, and it can be taken away at someone else's whim. In any event, those were my thoughts upon coming across a set of Popular Mechanics do-it-yourself guides. And like I said, these are in really good shape. This is obviously a over four. Oh, good grief! Could it be? Yes. These books are uh, between 45 and 50 years old, and they're all in remarkably good shape. I think my friend will be pleased. I'd say he's a very capable guy. I'm sure he'll get a lot of use out of these, and I'm sure he'll enjoy them. It just gave me a nice little tingle of joy to have a successful book hunt for an individual. And that's part of why I do what I do. It's a great hobby. Um, with that, I think I will wrap it up, and I will talk to you again soon. Thank you.